Hello world, welcome to Champions Online Archetype Update for the Soldier and the Automaton. So the updates are kind of a mixed bag. The Soldier I thought was almost perfect before, considering it was a Glass Canyon DPS type character. And I don't know, I don't really love some of the changes they made, and the Automaton still has issues, so yeah. Both of them are free at least, so at least if you had them and you don't like the changes, at least you didn't spend money to have these awful changes inflicted on you. The Soldier, it's still a glass cannon, and being in melee range probably still isn't a good idea. You get submachine gun burst, which I already complained about before, is now 3 targets instead of 5, which doesn't even make sense. It's just stupid. And I don't understand this whole obsession with turning all these powers into 3 target powers. It's like mob groups are usually like 5-ish. So why not just let people hit everything? It's like the trash mobs are the least interesting part of the game. They're just kind of the thing you mow through to get to the end. The next choice you get is between Holdout Shot and Rifle Butt. Holdout Shot is 50-foot power. It has Stim Pack, so you can heal yourself, which is the one thing the Soldier was missing before, is a way to heal itself. Rifle Butt is in melee range. It doesn't even matter if Rifle Butt has a heal or not. We would still have to be in melee range to proc it. And the trauma effect, I don't think is that useful for PvE context. Is like, how many enemies actually heal themselves? Not that many. Not that many enemies have a heal of any kind. So I would just go with Holdout Shot and not worry about Rifle Butt at all. There are other better ways to do crowd control that don't require you to be in melee range. I mean, Rifle Butt's not worth it. You can just pick up some of the other crowd control abilities later on. Then you get Shotgun Blast versus Gatling Gun. For me, Gatling Gun is straight nerfed and is really disappointing, and I would probably never pick it now. It used to be I could maintain Gatling Gun fairly decently at 100 feet. I did rip out basically everything that wasn't, all the Constitution mods I had, I ripped those out for more ego just so I could have as much energy and cost discount as I could. And now it's I can't even get a single maintain off at 100 feet. So it's kind of Gatling Gun's worthless now. I have to be within 50 feet. And the whole point of having 100 foot power is to not be within 50 feet, is to use the whole entire 100 feet. So Shotgun Blast, to me, better option. I do like Shotgun Blast. It's always fun. I don't understand why they made it a tap and charge. It's why would you charge a gun? It doesn't make sense. I mean, a Gatling gun, you hold the trigger and wait for it to spin up, which is kind of like a charge. It's more like a maintain, though. I mean, a charge for a gun, it doesn't make sense. But if you tap Shotgun, you can knock things down, which is awesome. You can apply fear if you want to. And it has armor piercing. So this is one of the ways you can apply armor piercing. Of course, it's only 50 feet, which doesn't help the next power, which is Assault Rifle. Assault Rifle is 100 foot power, but you have no way to apply armor piercing at 100 feet, so you're really going to stick at 50 feet just so you can apply armor piercing. So it's kind of why do you even have 100 foot power if you're going to have to stay, or you're going to at least have to move within 50 feet to reapply armor piercing, so that's kind of silly. Assault Rifle now is kind of like a constant maintain, so mow 'em down has been completely changed. There's no reason to get a mow 'em down now. I mean, basically what it does now is it turns a perfectly good single target attack into a cylinder AoE that's only 2 feet and caps out at 3 targets, so it's kind of lame. Killer Instinct now scales with recovery, which that to me is stupid, and I don't understand why they're making some of these drastic changes to powers that already exist, because all you're really doing is screwing up existing builds. The energy over time mechanic part is nice, though, because then you get, I think it lasts for 6 seconds, but you get energy every 3 seconds, so even if for some miracle reason you don't, I think you have to crit with gun power. So if for some miracle reason you can't crit once every 3 seconds, you should at least be able to once every 6 seconds. So the next choice is Lock and Load versus Smoke Grenades. This is a much better choice than where some of the other threat wipes are, because it's not between a threat wipe and a heal, and the only heal. It's between a threat wipe and an active offense, which not exactly the best choice. I don't think I would want to pair up Smoke Grenades with an active offense or an active defense. It's just kind of silly. But they're both good choices. I personally went with doing more damage because that's just what I'd rather do. I'm not really sure if the Soldier is going to have a huge aggro magnet that it used to be, because the diminishing returns thing was fixed, so it doesn't do as much damage anymore. Basically, it was just a damage nerf. But Smoke Grenades, I guess if maybe sometimes you might have this problem. I don't know. I mean, a tank that's equally geared as your character probably should be able to keep aggro from you. Frag Grenade versus Concussion Grenade. So Concussion Grenade is definitely another crowd control thing, which is better than Rifle Butt because it's 50-foot range. Both of them are. I think all the grenades are 50 feet range, so with Frag Grenade you can apply armor piercing, which doesn't really help you with Assault Rifle, which is 100 feet, so that kind of sucks. But you do have the choice between using say shotgun blast, if you really want to use it as a damage, like a trash mob damage power, you could do that. And then just apply armor piercing with frag grenades. That works too. Whatever your choice is. And then you have concussion grenade. So if you don't take rifle butt because there's no reason to, you can have concussion grenade, which normally it knocks back, which doesn't make sense because it's called concussion grenade. Or you get the advantage that makes it a stun instead of a knockback. So I would probably go with the stun because that's definitely a lot better if you ever plan on doing anything with anyone. So even if you level through alerts, you probably don't want to knock shit all over the place because it just makes everything take longer and gets on people's nerves. Sniper rifle versus rocket. I don't know. I've never really been thrilled with rocket. I guess it's okay. Rocket has a knockback advantage. Sniper rifle is still 120 feet, so the damage wasn't buffed or anything, so the damage is kind of meh. But you get to stay safe. I'm pretty sure Gravitar still can't hit you at 120 feet. I don't think that changed. And I don't think Frosticus ever got his damage or his range increased either, so you could use sniper rifle against him, and even if you draw aggro, he can't hurt you. As far as I know. I don't know, I haven't done Fire and Ice for like eternity. The annoying thing is that armor piercing kind of only works with half of Rocket's damage because Rocket is like crushing and fire, and armor piercing is crushing and piercing. So half of the damage isn't even, worth anything. And Rocket, you'd probably want to use as a boss because would you really ever use it against trash mobs? Probably not because they just die too quickly. So that kind of sucks. And both of them are outside of 50 feet anyway, so you can't really apply armor piercing from their distance anyway, which is kind of the same problem with assault rifles. It's just, I don't know, that stuff is kind of annoying. It's like, I don't know why they couldn't have like a power, like the grenades. Why can't you throw the grenades 100 feet? Well, that would make sense. I mean, it seems totally reasonable to be able to throw a grenade 100 feet. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, it makes sense for shotgun to be shorter range because it's a shotgun. So, the Automaton. This got some significant changes, and I don't know what to say about this. I thought it was really annoying trying to figure out how to get it to work really well. It seems like kind of a mess. They changed recovery to intelligence, and then they switched out overdrive for molecular self-assembly, which at least they did that. So there's another big problem here. Tac missiles and power gauntlets is a choice at level 1. And as far as I know, if you're making this character brand new, you don't actually get to choose your level 1 abilities for archetypes. So you would have to go into the powerhouse and unspec and respec. I mean, sure, if you're doing it at like level less than 10, I think it's still free, but still, the actual choice is power gauntlets versus tac missiles. Tac missiles seem to do more damage. They're both 100-foot range. They're both blast powers. But tac missiles also has the option to be an AoE with blast radius, which is what I did. I would go with tac missiles, rank 2, blast radius, so you could use it as kind of an AoE to clear out all the trash mobs. And then you get targeting computer, which is the same. The level 8 choices between rocket punch and binding shot. I don't like the way they changed rocket punch. Before you could tap it, it would not knock. There was no chance to knock. And then when you charged it more than 50%, then it would knock. To me, that was great. I actually liked the way that worked, and I don't even know why they changed it. Now it's like, even if you tap it, you have a chance to knock things. I mean, I think it's really low chance, but if you're in a team situation, you don't want to knock things. Anyway, I went with Binding Shot for Nailed to the Ground. It is a situational power, and you can use it with Overseer to do the whole bonus damage when you paralyze somebody or whatever with one of the crowd control abilities, which is kind of okay. And Binding Shot is mostly useful against like the lower ranking mobs, not really good against bosses because it's not going to do anything to them except for proc that effect for more damage for your team. But it's something that you would normally only use situationally, except that here it seems to be the intent is so that you basically use Binding Shot whenever the cooldown is off so that you can actually use molecular self-assembly, because outside of Implosion Engine is the only ranged power that has a cooldown that you could use with molecular self-assembly, because all the other stuff is short range or melee range. Which means if you're using it to proc molecular self-assembly and you're at range, you're basically just using them to use them. It's kind of a waste of time. And then, I mean, Rocket Punch was always effectively a single target. I mean, it's still a cylinder. How often do you see enemies politely clumped together to be used to actually get hit with your cylinder attacks? I mean, that never happens, especially in a team setting. Things just kind of wander. I mean, sometimes enemies just kind of wander off into random places anyway, so. And then you get concentration, nothing surprising there. And then the next choice at 14 is between particle mines and mini mines. They're both like kind of the same. So it's whatever mines you like better. But they're both melee range, so if you want to actually use them to do damage, you kind of have to be up in things' faces. And they both have a cooldown, so they could proc molecular self-assembly. I would say if you want to stay at range, mini mines would be the better choice. You pick mini mines and that has a stim pack advantage, so you could just heal yourself with it. I mean, you'd basically be just spewing out mines for no good reason, just for the heal, and to proc molecular self-assembly, which is kind of dumb, but hey, I mean, you wouldn't have to be in melee range to use the other thing with the heal, which is cybernetic tether. I don't know, I think I went with particle. I tried them both, but I went with particle mines. It kind of doesn't matter. I just went full ranks. I didn't get the advantage on particle mines that can knock back because knockback is annoying, especially when you're on a team. I mean, you can use them both just to protect yourself from enemies that get close to your face, but then you really wouldn't be using it to proc molecular self-assembly. You'd be using them as a situational power. At level 17, you get Chest Beam. Chest Beam has the crushing particle damage debuff. You can take Point Blank Blast to make Chest Beam do more damage in melee range. I have no idea what the bonus damage is, though, because it just has little question marks in the tooltip. It, tells you nothing. I'm pretty sure even Two-Gun Mojo at least tells you get up to 30% bonus damage if you're in melee range, and this one just says, little question marks. I don't know why they can't fix the tooltip for that, but they didn't, and I'm not going to test it, because it would be easier for them to fix the tooltip than it would be for me to test it. Chest Beam is not exactly very good for clearing trash mobs, because even if you're tapping Chest Beam, it's going to knock. And the knock is quite powerful, even on tap, especially if you have, a whole bunch of eco. So it's kind of like you really want to only use it against bosses. And then, of course, there are always some bosses that can be knocked anyway, which is always fun. And usually it's the Nemesis bosses, which is stupid. I don't know why they don't just make them immune to the bosses. I don't actually know if Chest Beam does bonus damage against knock-immune targets. I mean, I know a lot of the melee powers do. I have no idea if Chest Beam does, and I don't really care, I guess. It's still pretty nice and powerful and gives you that wonderful little debuff. But I wouldn't really recommend using it on trash mobs. I would use tac missiles and blast radius on trash mobs because it's, less likely to make everybody mad. At level 21, you get the choice between Energy Wave and Cybernetic Tether. Cybernetic Tether is only 25 feet, which to me seems really awful. Even if you were a melee character, why in the world would you want Cybernetic Tether over a lunge? I mean, you'd think it'd be kind of a nice choice for, instead of a lunge, just to have something different, except that it's only 25 feet. Lunges are 60 feet, so it's pretty much completely inferior. And you can get Recharge, which is a heal over time, and Download, which is a cost discount. That's what I went with, Cybernetic Tether. Even Energy Wave is only, I want to say it might be, it's 10 or 25 feet, so basically it's kind of melee range or really short range. I don't know. I mean, Energy Wave looks really cool, especially when you have the shield advantage, but I've never really been terribly impressed by it. It's always seemed kind of sad to me. It looks cool, it's just not amazing. So, yeah. Energy Wave also has Recharge, so I guess instead of taking the other thing for Stim Pack, Mini Mines, you could always take the Energy Wave and just use it for no good reason to proc the Stim Pack thing, or Recharge rather. So you could stay at range and use it just for a heal, but it would be pretty much useless in any other way if you're not in, I mean, it is a point blank, so you don't have to have a target as far as I know. It's kind of dumb. You do have to have a target for Cybernetic Tether. MSA instead of Overdrive. Duh. They kind of had to change that because, Overdrive would be completely useless. I mean, there's absolutely nothing that would proc Overdrive. Energy Shield versus Force Shield at level 30. It doesn't really matter which one you take. They're both decent. I mean, Energy Shield, the advantages don't waste your time on them. None of the advantages for Energy Shield work. I mean, if you want to rank it up, sure, that works. Energy Shield does have higher blocking damage reduction thing than Force Shield does. So if you want to do it for that, or, Energy Shield does look really cool. Or you could go with Force Shield. The Force Shield advantage will, of course, still work, but whichever one you prefer. After that, at level 35, you get the choice between Unbreakable and Nanobot Swarm. I would never ever take Nanobot Swarm. It has a pretty damn long cooldown. There is a healing advantage for it, but it's why would you ever want to take Nanobot Swarm over Unbreakable? Unbreakable is an active defense. It's way more useful than Nanobot Swarm. I mean, sure, it would, of course, trigger, MSA has a cooldown, but it's it's really long, so it's really not that great. I don't know. I would go with Unbreakable and rank it up all the way. Then you have Implosion Engine versus Orbital Cannon. I would pick Implosion Engine. I mean, sure, it has longer cooldown, but Orbital Cannon still requires Anvil of Dawn. That didn't change. And honestly, if you're in a team at all, Orbital Cannon, you have to have Anvil of Dawn, or it's pretty much useless to ever use it. I mean, if you only solo ever, never do alerts, never do any kind of group content, then sure, Orbital Cannon is a great nuke, but you kind of can't really attack before it goes off, and it's really long. I don't know why it's so damn long. They could have changed it. It's it should do way more damage for how long a stupid thing takes to charge up, because you probably could have killed everything with your normal attacks before the stupid Orbital Cannon goes off anyway. And of course, I mean, Implosion Engine does have a longer cooldown. It's like a minute and a half, which is not too bad. But it's great for gathering things up and sucking all the enemies together and killing all the trash. And the damage isn't bad. It's decent damage. So, I mean, it's even good against bosses, even if, you're not all bosses have ads, but it's still good for just straight up damaging a boss since you can use it and then still attack while it's going off. I guess Orbital Cannon could be used just for bosses too, since not like most bosses work, and then you wouldn't have to take Anvil of Dawn because the bosses aren't moving, so... But still, it seems kind of lame. So 2 free archetypes got updated. The Soldier's not too bad. There's some things about it that make me sad, but it's not like a horrible hot mess of sadness and failure, but the Automaton, not really thrilled with that. Does make me a little bit sad. I would probably avoid it and never ever recommend it for new players ever because it's just annoying to deal with the problems that it has.